Joining us for the 192nd webinar of our Saturday webinar series hosted by Managed Center for Innovation and Agripreneurship. Myself, Dr. Rahalya, working as a Managed Fellow. So before going to the session, let me give a short introduction about our center. So Managed CIA, it stands as a beacon of excellence in agribusiness incubation, operating under the esteemed National Institute of Agriculture Extension Management. With a rich history of nurturing entrepreneurship, our center has been instrumental in guiding 754 entrepreneurs and fostering the growth of over 425 startups across various sectors within the agriculture domain. We pride ourselves on our comprehensive support system, offering guidance and training to startups in crucial areas such as agro-processing, post-harvest technologies, value addition, farm mechanization, animal husbandry, fisheries, dairy, commodity trading, supply chain management, and agri-consultancy. Our commitment to the success of agripreneurs knows no bounds as we continue to refine their concept and empower them to expand their venture. So today's webinar is particularly exciting as we are going to discuss the topic of marketing and branding for agri-startups. So to introduce first speaker, let me call my colleague Ushasri ma'am to introduce our first speaker.
Thank you, Rahalya, and a warm welcome to one and all for our 192 webinar on marketing and branding for agri-startups. So, Ms. Komal Ramani, she is the founder and principal designer at Project, an independent graphic designing studio specializes in logo making, brand identity, and packaging design. With more than 15 years experience in this particular industry, Ms. Komal Ramani have helped more than 150 businesses across various sectors in developing their brand identities and designs that reflect their personality, vision, and values. Also, Ms. Komal Ramani is a brand consultant and a professional speaker, sharing her insights and expertise on brand building, logo and packaging design, and entrepreneurship, creative art forms at various local and global platforms. With this brief introduction, I now welcome Ms. Komal Ramani to our 192nd Saturday webinar series. Handing over to you, Ms. Komal.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. I am so happy I'm able to do this for everyone present here. And hopefully it becomes a valuable lesson to them in growing their brand. I would request the team to share the presentation so we can start with the...
Yeah. Oh, just loading the screen now.
Okay.
I think Usha is facing some issue with sharing the screen. Srinu, can you share the screen? Yeah, just give 1 second. Meanwhile, Komal, you can start with little about your firm, and then by the time screen will come up.
Sure. So just to let everyone know, oh, great, the screen is here. So yeah, today we are talking about build your brand to grow your business. So, I've been a brand strategist for 15 plus years now. I've been working in this industry. And, when I take you through the entire presentation, you will see when you are only concentrating on your business. So, for example, your, growth slide is like this. When you're only concentrating on your brand, again, your growth slide is like this. But when you combine the two, but when you actually put a lot of effort in actually branding your business, your growth slide is suddenly very, very steep and high, right? So this is what we are going to see today. I would request to take you to the next slide. Who is handling the slide so I can just, Yeah, thank you so much. So I am the founder of Project. We specialize in creating logo design, brand identity systems, and packaging design. I have worked with 150 plus startups in my 15 years of journey in the branding industry and 5 years of journey in the entrepreneur journey. I have worked with 150 plus startups and given them design solutions to help solve their business problems. Right? I'm a brand consultant. I work with business and personal brands. And yes, today this is what we are here to talk about, growing your business. We can move to the next slide so we can start with the flow. Does anyone know what you mean by a brand? You can write down your answers in the chat. Does anyone understand what a brand means? Identity, yes. Something else? Do you know the origin of it? Okay, we can go to the next slide. When in ancient times branding was used, branding is not a new concept. We all feel branding is aajka, concept that everyone's just taken up and it's become like a big hype. Branding was done way back also in ancient times. And what used to happen was when everybody used to have different cattles, right? That was their main form of getting milk and other products. When they used to actually take their cattles out, they used to get mixed with each other, right? So the idea was the owner used to create a unique stamp by themselves and they used to burn it on livestock and cattle. And that is how they used to differentiate their cattle from the cattle of the neighbor, or when they are going out and when the cattle are grazing, right? So that the cattle don't get mixed and they are able to reclaim their cattle. The same thing used to happen for criminals or slaves so that the others they don't mix up with each other. So branding is prevalent since ancient times. But of course, we don't live in ancient times right now. We live in today's world. Yes, even today, the practice is still available in remote villages, and I completely agree. But that is a very different kind of branding, and that is the original of the word brand. Today, branding means a very different story. And if you could go to the next slide. From the business owner's perspective, right? Brand is anything that puts an identifiable mark on your product or service so that you can claim it to be yours. Like the livestock, like the criminals, like the slaves, yeah, the owners of those people, you want to identify something that you're creating, whether it's a product, whether it's a service. So brand is something that ek thappa, you have to put that stamp. This is my stamp. That is called branding from the owner's perspective. If we could move to the next slide. Now, what is brand from the audience's perspective? It's a very different perspective, right? The owner thinks that I should have a stamp. What the audience thinks is brand is a reputation, a perception that's built in the minds about a specific business. Take, for example, Tata. Whichever product you buy of Tata, whether it is salt, whether it's oil, whether it's pharmaceutical, whether it's anything, because the brand has so much trust value in your head, you immediately buy it, right? This is what the audience thinks of a brand. You may come from a business owner's perspective that, what, I've made a logo, I've put my logo on all products and my packaging is constant and everything is done. But what the audience always seeks is, they want to build trust on you. They want to have a clear, defined reputation in their head. Your brand is going to take up one part of their head space. And the moment it does, then your product or your business turns into a brand. Till then, it's just a business. It is just a product, right? Can you move to the next slide? Now, what do you mean by the term branding? Brand is something that's established. But what is branding? Does anyone know? Does anyone want to type out a quick answer in the chat? No one? We can move to the next slide. All the activities that we do in our business to actually build the brand that we spoke about is called branding. Yeah, it's not rocket science. It's a very easy and simple definition. Whatever you do, all activities you do to build that trust in the consumer's mind about your brand is branding. Next slide. Now, why do I need to learn about branding? Yeah, very important. Why should you learn about branding? What's the need? Next slide. Like I explained in the starting, 90% consumers today make a purchase decision based on the perception of the brand. Take another example, Amul milk. Take another example. Which brand do you trust? Apple, Nike. These are brands you automatically trust. It does not matter what product they are coming out with. You are so confident about the trust that they have built in so many years. You are ready to purchase the product irrespective of the price they are charging, irrespective of what is there in the product. This is how 90% consumers make a decision of purchasing. Next slide. What is business building? Yeah, like I explained, there are 3 slides. We can quickly go to the other 2 slides as well so we can compare. If you're trying to just build your business, it's like this. If you're just trying to build your brand, it's a very similar graph. But let's see what happens when you combine the 2. Let's go to the next slide. Yes. The arrow suddenly is very, very steep and is going very high because you're combining the 2 activities. You cannot say that I will not do business building activities and I'll just do brand building activities. That does not work. They both need to go hand in hand. Yeah, they need to sync. All your activities need to sync for your business to get the amount of sales that you're expecting out of brand building. Yes, is everyone with me? Can I see a thumbs up? Yeah, great. Can we move to the next slide? Branding helps you at every step to grow your business. Look at it as a long-term investment that will help you reap benefits at a later stage in your business. Very important. What happens is whenever we are trying to build a brand, we expect immediate results. I have done my brand building activity for 2 months and done. My business should start soaring. It does not happen that way. You have to keep doing it continuously, right? Over and over and over and over again. And it's a long-term activity. If you put in the efforts now, you will start seeing the results probably 2.5 years from now. But it's very important to keep doing those efforts for 2.5 years for you to get the kind of results you're expecting. It's not a short-term activity. It's a long-term activity. And it needs to be done till your business exists. You cannot ever stop that activity. Like you cannot stop marketing. You cannot stop branding. It's a continuous activity that keeps going on for your business. Next slide. Very important. How do we do branding? Yeah, we know now what a brand is. We know what the term branding means. And we know why we should do branding. Correct? But how do we do it? Yeah. Next slide. The first step to branding is defining your brand assets. There is a list that every startup needs to get done to get their branding activity started. And what is the brand assets? Next slide. The most important. The tools we require to carry out branding activities are called brand assets. Next slide. Brand name. Now, what is a brand name? You need to have a unique brand name. It cannot be a duplicate of anything else that's already existing in the market. Now, Tata is already selling in the market. I cannot have Tata Plus as my name. It does not work. Yeah, you will face domain restrictions. You will face registration restrictions. So it has to be really, really unique to something that you are doing. Yeah, you have to make sure that the domain name is available because today everything is online. However you want to treat your business, you have to have a presence online. So the domain name should be available. The social media handle needs to be available. Yeah, you have to decide which social media platform you want to be active on. Correct? So Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, that social media handle needs to be available. And of course, you need to go ahead and register your brand name. Very, very important. If you don't register your brand name, somebody else can actually copy it. So all the big names that you see, Nike, Amul, Tata, Apple, everything is registered. The next step, once you know your brand name, you have to design a logo. The logo needs to be unique. Again, no copying from this and that. It needs to serve your audience. Yeah, what you're trying to do, whom you're trying to serve. Very important. The logo needs to be responsive. Now, what does responsive mean? Today, we live in a digital first era. You're going to put up your logo in your social media. There is a small round, a profile picture. Yeah, your logo needs to fit in that small round profile picture. Then you're going to create social media posts where you're going to take an elongated logo because there is a bigger space. Yeah. Then you're going to create banners on Facebook and LinkedIn. You need that kind of space. Suppose you have an application that you're trying to develop. So the space becomes vertical. Yeah. If you're trying to use the same logo in all the different spaces, it's not going to work. Yeah. The readability of the logo will go away. So what all big brands do is they have multiple variants of the same logo. You have one logo, take Coca-Cola for example, their base logo is the same, but if you see their swirl, that keeps becoming big and small depending on the space that you're using. Sometimes the word Coca-Cola is written in one go, sometimes the word Coca-Cola is split into top and bottom. It's called a vertically stacked logo. All these different variants are called responsive logo design. Yeah, you have to ask for responsive logo design when you're creating a logo. Again, you need to register your logo. You need to trademark your logo like you're registering your brand name. Yeah, everyone's with me? Yeah, great. Next is brand colors. Now, what happens is you design your logo and you have, say, for example, green and black and blue in your logo. But when you give it to other designers to give marketing collaterals, websites, social media, they will use their own brain and they will put orange, purple, everything that they feel like in the creatives. That does not help the trust factor. What happens is if I see a solid combination of black, blue, and green in your logo, as the audience, as your future consumer and client, I expect to see the same color combination everywhere on your website, also in your social media channels, also in the marketing collateral, in the leaflet, also in your packaging also. So you need to define your brand colors and you need to use it consistently. Also, colors have emotion in them. You need to understand what emotion you're giving out from your color, right? Red color symbolizes energy. Red color also symbolizes hungry. Yeah. Green color symbolizes freshness. Yellow color symbolizes sunshine, happy, positive energy. Every single color has a different meaning. You really need to understand what your product is, what your audience is, and which color is the best for you. Similarly, all your brand fonts need to be defined along with your branding activity. The brand fonts should be readable. It should go with the company's brand image. And if you're not using a free font, if you like something that's a paid font, kindly go ahead, take the paid version, speak to the owner, understand the terms and conditions of using that font and where can you use that font, and then use it. Otherwise, you can get into legal trouble. So the easiest option is there are a lot of Google fonts available free. Just type Google fonts. Google will take you to a link. You can download all the fonts available, install it in your system and use it as your brand fonts. No restriction, no license issue. Yeah, Google allows you to use it for free and they are good fonts and a lot of big brands use it. Yeah. After defining your name, logo, colors, and fonts comes for the very important part, your brand story. Your brand story needs to be relatable, authentic, and most importantly, it should talk about the why of your business. Why did you start your business? Yeah, it needs to have a soul to it. It needs to connect to your audience. Unless and until I don't understand why did you start your business or why should I buy your product, I am not going to connect to your business. Yeah, I will not connect to your business. I won't be able to. So your brand story really needs to be authentic. It really needs to talk about why did you start your business? Why should somebody come and buy your product? And the last is the brand tone. What is a brand tone? The way your brand speaks to your audience is called a brand tone. The brand tone needs to sync with everything that you've done above. If you look at McDonald's, the tone in the voice, the tone in the text is very different than the tone in Apple's creatives, right? They speak to you very, very differently. All of this has been predefined by their branding and marketing heads. And everything that you see on this page, list of brand assets, are all combined into one booklet given to all agencies that work with them, branding, marketing, sales. Every single employee that's there in the company has this, so that they know what the company stands for. They know how you're supposed to use it. You as a startup need to do at least this much. There's much more to it, but at least this much to actually go ahead and build your brand. Next slide. Now, once you build these brand assets, yeah, how do you use them? Next slide. Very simple. Whenever you are, like I mentioned, in a company or you have your own startup, you combine all of it and you take it into a brand toolkit or a guideline booklet. Now, what is a brand toolkit? Combination of all the assets. It defines a roadmap for you on how to apply your company's visual elements into your business and marketing activities. Somebody has asked a question. Please explain difference in font and tone. Font is, say, you see brand toolkit jo likha hua hai, that's a font. That's a chosen font by me. Yeah. And tone is how you speak, the way I'm talking. It can be angry, right? It can be pleasant. Yeah. It can be arrogant. It can be luxurious. It can be massy. That is what the difference is. Font is the visual of what you see. Tone is how you say it. Yeah. Next slide. Where do you use your brand assets? Next slide. At all brand touch points. And what are brand touch points? We'll see in the next slide. These are the list of brand touch points. So what happens is when you're building a brand, there is pre-purchase, during purchase, and post-purchase. These are the three different categories of touch points that you actually interact with the consumer. And everything that you've defined in your brand assets and in your brand guidelines booklet, you actually distribute it between these three stages and you imbibe all of that. Next slide. If you see just the pre-version, business cards, websites, advertisements, and social media. Yeah, these are all the pre-purchase touch points. Here, the consumer is just coming and trying to understand who you are and what your brand is. During the purchase cycle, the sales representative, the receipt, the store, the packaging, all of these things matter, and these are called your brand touch points during the sale. The consumer is going to see what your packaging is once they receive your product, whether it's online or offline, or they'll go to a physical store to understand it, right? They'll get a receipt from you, or a sales representative will be in touch with them while they're purchasing the product. So that's called during the purchase, and your brand assets should be used in all of this. Post is post-purchase. Customer service. If your consumer is facing an issue with your product, yeah, somebody from your team needs to go ahead and reach out. That's called customer service. There needs to be a manual of how you need to use the product that you're selling. Sometimes it needs installation. If I buy something from IKEA, it will need installation, right? Different portions come together. I get a manual and I need to know how to install it. If I am using those mitti for my plants, so then it comes with a booklet on what exactly is this fertilizer, how many times am I supposed to put it and mix it in my soil, how am I supposed to mix it, when will the soil go dry, when should I water the plants. It's a manual that you create. Follow up. You reach out to your consumers actively and ask a feedback from them on how did you like the product. And the quality of the product, most important. Everything becomes useless if your quality of the product is zero. Because if your quality of the product is zero, nobody will come back and purchase your product, right? Now, at all of these things, which are called brand touch points, everything that you've listed down, the logo, the colors, the fonts, the brand tone, the brand story, everything needs to be synchronized. Yeah, it needs to be used in a cohesive version so that your audience feels it is one brand and I can go ahead and touch the brand. One cannot look luxury, one cannot look massy. Yeah, one cannot start talking funny and then again in the next slide it talks about being very serious. So everything gets defined first in your brand guidelines, and then it gets applied on the brand touch points by the experts. Next slide. And that's it. This is what branding means. I hope I am on time. And these are my social media handles and my email address. You can find me by typing Komal Ramani Makhija. It's there on Instagram, on LinkedIn. I'm very, very active on LinkedIn. You can come connect with me, DM me. I'm very happy to help out and answer any questions that you have. komalmakhija@icloud.com is my email address. In case somebody wants to reach out to me on email for any questions, I'll be happy to get back. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. And that is such a great presentation. Like you have discussed about starting from the definition of brand and branding, how the branding is actually important in every step of your business. Like I really like the point how the consistency important in every step of the business. And you also discussed about like list of brand assets like brand logo, brand name, brand tone. So that is really a great presentation. So the participants, if you have any questions, you can keep in chat box, and also you can raise your hands. So the questions will be taken up after the second speaker presentation. So to introduce second speaker, let me call Ushasri ma'am to introduce the second speaker.
Yeah. Thank you, Rahalya. And Miss Arushi is here, right? Miss Arushi?
Yes, she is.
Yes. Hello.
Yeah. Good morning, Miss Arushi. Welcome to the 192nd webinar. Yeah, good morning. Welcome to 192 webinar conducted by Managed CIA, Marketing and Branding for Agri-Startups. Miss Arushi is a co-founder and CEO at ScalaBee. She has a deep expertise in business strategy and make startup investments ready. She is a specialist in crafting pitch decks, business plans, and in conducting market research and business analysis. She has groomed more than 1,500 startups, and she has worked with various big organizations such as advisorymonday.com, Credit Bankers, Meesho, Intellibus, Video Logo, Easy to Pitch, etc. in the domain of marketing research, startup investment, and research investment. So with this brief introduction, I welcome you, Ms. Arushi. Thank you. And handing over to you.
Thank you so much, Usha, for such a warm welcome and a wonderful introduction. Okay, so could you please share my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi guys, as already Usha described about my introduction and everything, so I'm moving forward from this slide. Could you please go to the next slide? So here my fellow speaker Komal has explained everything to you in a very much detailed manner. I'm just describing you and about the marketing and branding for agri startup in my viewpoints. So firstly, to begin with, we start with let's define what we mean by marketing and branding. Could you please move to the next slide? So in a very clear manner, what marketing is? Marketing is all about communicating the value of your product and services to your customers. How? You may be curious to know like how will we going to communicate about it? How will we going to identify your customers? Right? So there are process. The marketing has the process where you can understand your customer needs and preferences. And after understanding it, you will be developing the products or services that meet those needs. And after your product has been created or launched, then how to promote them, how to distribute them towards the market sectors effectively. On the contrary, on the other hand, what branding is, because people usually, differentiate, not able to differentiate among marketing and branding. Branding is simply creating a unique identity and emotional connect with your customers. How it has been developed? By creating a unique name, differentiate among your competitors, a design or image which clearly means your logo. It can identify and differentiate your product amongst your competitors. You can choose a catchy and impactful tagline to make your brand memorable and emotionally connect with your customers. Effective branding, what does effective branding mean? Effective branding creates loyalty, trust, and the preference for the brand. Do you know there is a color psychology for the branding? As Komal has already explained you about the color psychology of the branding. When you're creating your logo, you know, there is a color psychology as in red color depicts warmth, yellow color depicts creativity, joyful, and green color depicts the environmental, fresh, eco-friendly, right? And blue is depicts confidence, dignity, loyalty. I hope you all have seen the logo of the government organizations and the medical companies. It showcases that evokes success and security. Now, if we talk about for the agri startups, you have seen in agri startups, people usually use yellow color, green color. Why? Because it clearly depicts environmental, fresh, eco-friendly. Here I have given the example of Patanjali, right? And how we will going to differentiate among what is marketing and what is branding. So Patanjali, you may know, founded by Baba Ramdev, and Patanjali has clearly disrupted the FMCG market. You know that, right? How they are marketing their product? They are marketing by highlighting the harmful effects of chemicals, highlighting about the Ayurveda. You have seen in COVID, Ayurveda has boomed. Ayurveda industry has been propelled up. Why? Because there is a market trend into it. The market growth will be there because of the COVID, and everyone is mostly health focused, right? And even in the marketing has created a aggressive market campaigns like Jhatpat Banao Befikar Khao, Atta noodles. They are comparing it with their competitors, that is Maggi 2 minute noodles, and Healthy India Banega Patanjali biscuit khayenge. Like these are the market campaigns that they are focusing on. And if we talk about the branding strategy, how they are creating their branding strategy by focusing more on natural and Ayurveda products. And see, in their tagline itself, it's mentioned that Prakriti ka Ashirvad. It means it correlated with the natural thing, right? Now to moving forward, how we are, focusing about in our brand identity. Please move to the next slide. Yeah. So for creating the whole scenario, how you will be going to identify your market, how you will be going to understand your market. The first factor that you need to do is market research. Market research is crucially and very much integral part of conducting a marketing or launching before your product has been launched into market. Okay, so the market research would be identifying your target audience, analyzing your market needs, and your competitors' landscape. So how you will be going to do that? Firstly, how will be you going to identify your target audience? Who are your potential customers? What they need? What are their trends in the market? As I clearly described about the Patanjali. So over there in the COVID era, the trend is about healthcare, health products, and edtech, right? So these are the current trends. That's why at that time, startups are propelling. Whatever the startups in the edtech industries and the health tech industries are propelling in the market. And analyzing your competitors is very much important because you need to identify how they are differentiated, how you are going to differentiate among yourself in the market. This can be done in two ways, primary research and secondary research. And if we focus more about on the agri sector, the generally the target audience would be farmers, distributors, retailers, and consumers, even though the agri-tech investors. If you are not going to, approach to the investors who will be going to invest in your business, right? Then analyzing the market trends. What are the agriculture market trends? Sustainable, efficient market, technology advances. There are many agri-tech startups that are propelling in the market. and the organic products, right? And also, as I told about the competitive, you need to analyze what is your competitor's strength and weakness, and how you can overcome their weakness by launching your product, by launching the differentiating factor, right? Could you move to the next slide, please? Now, there are multiple tools to conduct a market research, right? So currently we are focusing on secondary market research, as I believe for the agriculture, as there we have a lot of target audience, be it farmer, agri-tech investors, you know. So we should focus on both as in primary research also and secondary research also. But for the secondary research, I have listed out few tools that will actually, help you in finding out the credible and reliable sources. Over here, I have mentioned the market size, sector composition, and key trends, and even the government initiatives for from IBF report. IBF is Indian Brand Equity Foundation. Over here, you can get a lot of about the information about any sector in India. Now, focusing on the global sector, you do have Statista, Scientian, Markets, and Global Newswire. You can get any information about your startups, right? Could you move to the next slide? Next slide, please. Now, while conducting a market research, you also focus on the unique value proposition. As we are analyzing our competitors, we need to focus and we need to think. A startup founder like me, I always think there are a lot of competition in my, in my business also. Like how I will be going to create my unique identity. That is the first question when you are creating some USP for your unique value proposition, USP for your product. What makes your startup unique? How do you solve their pain areas, the customer challenges? And for the agriculture sector, currently the startups make unique them like innovative irrigation system, organic pesticides, and how they are going to resolve it. They are going to resolve by reducing the water usage, utilizing the technology to identify the market, increasing crop yields. Now, how you will be going to communicate about your UVP? It is very clearly and concisely. People shouldn't be, shouldn't be confused about your tagline, your brand positioning. Brand positioning should be very simple, direct, and impactful, and it clearly relates with them and clearly connects with them emotionally. Like for an example, revolutionizing farming with eco-friendly pest control. Over here, you can describe everything about your startup, a gist of the startup, right? Now, moving to the next slide. Over here, when you create a unique value proposition, you also should focus on the brand identity. Brand identity as a name, logo, tagline. The name should be like, you all know about the Coca-Cola, Amul. They have created a brand identity, right? By this, changing their logos, revamping them and bringing them a memorable effect and reflect the core values of it. There is also, I told you about the color psychology. So over here, I've also mentioned about the color schemes and design elements that needs to be in your brand logo. And for the agricultural startups, always you have seen the agricultural startups relate to the yellow or green colors. The logo should be related to nature, sustainability, and innovation. Right over here, I will also mention about the example like green sprouts. Over here, green sprouts food logo clearly represent about the organic, about the planting, a sprouting plant, and the tagline clearly emphasize like grow green and grow strong. Talking about brand voice and personality, so the brand voice would be consistent, professional, and approachable language, and it should be reflect the storytelling. Whenever you are telling about your product, there should be a story, right? And for the brand identity and to market your product, I clearly believe a founder should always talk about their product, about their services in front among of anyone, Because if you are not going to talk about it, who will be going to, right? Moving to the next slide, after creating a brand identity, there would be the utmost important thing is effective marketing strategies. Please move to the next slide. Yeah, so effective marketing strategy is very crucial while building up your brand and marketing. So currently in the agri startups, I believe there is a combination of digital and traditional methods will reach maximum to your target audience. So digital marketing involves email marketing, SEO, content marketing, and social media marketing, right? So you have seen currently there are 654 million smartphone users in India, right? So there are multiple strategies for the social media marketing. People promote their products in Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and there are another strategies aligned to it. For LinkedIn, you have seen browsers are more important. You will get more impression in when you are posting carousels, and when for the Instagram, you the reels, the video content would be propelling in the market. Similarly, for the digital marketing, there should be very much important. There should be an online presence, right? And as your target audience is farmers, right? So for them, can also, do the organic promotion by conducting events, webinars, and sessions. Like we are conducting a webinar, webinar for by Managed AI, right? So they are also marketing their product, marketing their organization. Similarly, a startup has to do that, considering another ad promotion, partnership, and collaboration. So, like if I talk about the my business, at any start, partnership is crucial. How? Because you should be focused on your primary services in which you are excellent and which you do have the expertise. But for the another services that align to your business, you can create a collaboration with another companies, right? And for the agriculture business, they can collaborate with institutions, like multiple of the startups has collaborated with incubators, accelerators, or college entrepreneurship cell, right? And the most important is building the word of mouth. Word of mouth, flyers, brochures. If you are that I have already said, if you are not going to talk about your product, who will going to? Right? Word of mouth strategy is very important when you're talking about your product. It is very important when your customer talk about your product, because it increase the customer loyalty, customer retention, customer engagement, and also they are bringing another customers into your market. Right now, as we have seen, there are many tech startups are propelling in the market, right? And there are multiple marketing tools that you can use, to evolve and to expand your business. Could you move to the next slide? Yeah. So here is how to leverage the technology. So there are multiple systems to leverage the technology. First, CRM system, customer relation management system, that will clearly manage the interaction and customers efficiently and market your personalized content. And another would be market automation, data analytics, digital platform, IoT device. Marketing automations also is like repetitive tasks. It can reduce your timing and save your time and efforts by streamlining your repetitive tasks such as email campaigns, social media posting. And for data analytics, you will get all the insights related to about your agri startups, related about anything, right? If talk about some AI tools, there are like Perplexity.ai, Jasper.ai, where you can get the market research reports, where you get the help, the assistance from the market research. Also, our startup is helping you conducting the impactful market research for you, to promote, to understand to your market, to viable the product and service. It is going to viable or not, it is supporting your startup or not. Could you move to the next slide? Now, to conclude my conversation, remember that building a strong brand and effective market strategies are ongoing process, and it requires determination, dedication, and creativity. That is very important. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, ma'am. That is such a great presentation. Like you have talked about how starting from difference between the marketing and branding, like how to understand your audience and what are the tools actually involved in doing that market research, whether it is primary research or secondary research. And also you have talked about how to build a unique value proposition. So that is really a great presentation. The participants, if you have any questions, you can keep in chat box, and also you can raise your hand. And I can see few questions already in chat box. So there is a question from Monica. So do we need to do any registration for branding? If so, how much does it cost? So anyone can take up the question.
Yeah, you need to register your brand name and your brand logo. It's very, very important so that somebody else cannot use it. Usually it starts at 15,000 plus. There are several agents who help you do it. It depends if you just want to get one logo registered. So for example, like I explained, there are several logos you can create, right? So, but when you're registering, you have to pay separately for each logo. So you will have to decide how much budget you have and how much you want to spend. So if I have one main logo, and if I'm going for a responsive design wherein I have an icon which is separate, I have a vertically stacked logo and a horizontally stacked logo. So then I have to pay 15, 15, 15 for all three. It really depends on how much you want to spend at the start, but it starts at 15 plus, and it's highly advisable to get both the name and the logo registered.
Okay. Monica, I think you got the answer. And there's a question from Jaina. So please explain difference between brand font and brand tone.
I think I took that question when I was explaining. I think that's done.
Yes, ma'am. And there is a question from Hazanat. Key elements for branding. What are the key elements for branding?
There was a list of there was a list of brand assets that I had given. Those are the key elements, but I think Arushi also has something to add, so I'll let her do that.
Yeah, so like as Komal said, the brand elements is like brand positioning, brand, voice, purpose, and the brand values and brand experience that your customers relates to with that.
Yes.
I hope it helps.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. And then there is a question from Milan. Suggest a CRM software, ma'am. Like he's asking for suggest a CRM software.
CRM software as in like sales and HubSpot, and sales platform is there. You can connect with me. I can guide you more better about the tools.
Yes. So the participants, still, if you have any questions, you can ask. So there is a question from Sagar. So do product life cycle have more impact on brand?
Arushi, do you want to take it up or should I take it up?
You can go. You can go.
Okay, yeah. So the product life cycle does not have as much impact on the brand. What has an impact on the brand is if your product completely changes, right? So if you have started with a product and then you go on to AB product or you go to ABC product, then of course it has a huge impact on your brand. But product cycle per se does not have a huge impact on the brand.
Sagar, I think you got the answer. And there is a question from Abdul Hasanat. So he's asking importance of AI on brand promotion.
AI you're talking about, right, Abdul? Could you please repeat the question?
Hello, there is a question from Hassan. It is he's asking what is the importance of AI on brand promotion?
So AI, AI technology is boon or bane. But currently AI has bring lot of opportunities. It can save your time, it can increase your ROI, right? And for the agri startups, you can, as I told you, one tool, Perplexity.ai. It can help you in research, chat GPT, Claude AI, Bard, introduced by Gemini. So these are the tools that will help you a lot in terms of your creating a brand, helping you to identify what can be your catchy taglines and logo colors, right? I hope it helps.
Yes, ma'am. And there is one more question from Hafiz. Like he's asking, can I use one brand for multiple services?
I can take that one up. So, it really depends on what you're selling and how you're selling it. So, for example, take Unilever, right? Unilever in itself is a big brand. It has a different name, it has a different logo, but all the products that Unilever sells or all the brands that Unilever has made actually has an individual name and they market it and they brand it separately. Because Unilever is a bigger company, and if you see the array of products that they have is very, very vast. They're not really interlinked, right? But if you are coming up with a product which is all related to agriculture and you have 20 SKUs in that, or you have 20 services all related to one specific field and directed towards one specific target audience, yes, one brand name works. But if it's varied, then it's better to go ahead with the Unilever strategy.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. And then there is a question from Abdul again. He's asking about what is the relevance of IoT in branding, Internet of Things.
I am unable to understand what does it mean, IoT of in branding.
Like he's asking about the relevance of IoT in branding. I think Arushi ma'am, she already talked about how to leverage the technology using so he's asking regarding this Internet of Things.
It's like internet on devices, like how you can use internet devices on the branding, basically. The technology I have talked about it. How you can leverage the technology while you branding your product, while you brand your product. This is, I guess, the Abdul is asking, if I'm not wrong.
Abdul, I think you got the answer. So if you still have doubt, you can ask.
It's all about, the AI and the technologies are helping these startups a lot. Like recently, I have visited a startup Mahakumbh. Over there are multiple deep technologies, agri-startups, who are checking out your soil, who are, giving you the information related to their device, related to their AI technology. They are checking out that the soil is powerful, the soil that everyone is utilizing is like a benefit to your target audience, and also the organic product is actually organic. One of my client is also bringing a treatment how to increase the shelf life of the fruits and the vegetables, right? Because whenever the fruit has been harvested, they actually stress and they produce the ethanol, which is really, really harmful, and the product, basically the fruit and vegetables got total. So for that, they are utilizing some elements and like CO2 and some technology which can enhance the shelf life of that product. I hope it answers.
Thank you. And there is a question from Mitra to Komal ma'am. She's asking, what is the history of the word brand?
So, like I started my presentation with that, basically in older days, in ancient times, what used to happen was to differentiate your cattle from the neighbor's cattle, your slave from the other king's slave. People used to create a mark of their own. They used to take a burning iron, create it with iron, and actually, burn it on the livestock. So that is how branding originated. The whole idea was you need to differentiate whatever is yours from whatever is the others, right? So it was an identifiable mark, and that is how what the word brand used to mean in ancient times. Of course, now we are in a much evolved society, so we don't adhere to those branding terms.
So Mitra, I think you got the answer. So and there is one more question they have asked in Hindi. I think Amit sir, you can read that from Basant Shajit.
Yeah, sure, I'll do it. So Basant, he is asking regarding the pouches designing and the branding stuff. Usually it is very costly. So is there is any alternative where the startups can avail the services which will be affordable to them? And for the packaging, of course, they need dye and all those things are involved in this. So there will be a lot of cost will involved in this thing. So maybe Arushi or Komal, you can suggest something to the Basant, or maybe many startups are looking for the same inquiries.
Can I take this question, Komal? Mhm. So for that affordability, there are multiple tools. If you are designing up your logo maker is that, presentation.ai maker is that, right? Through which and any founder can, create their logo based on their ideology, based on their color psychology. First. Second, you can also partner with local inhabitants. Local inhabitants as your Agri-Startup. So Agri-Startup focuses on environment-friendly products. You can focus on eco-friendly products that instead of using plastic bottles, people are using jute bags, PET bottles that promote the eco-friendly and sustainable practices. I hope it answers your questions.
I
Komal,
think
do you want to add something?
Use AI as much as possible. It's free. It's good for starting out. It's great. Once you reach a point wherein you know your business is profitable, then go ahead, seek experts' advice, and then rebrand your business.
Yes. And there's one more question from Chitaranjan. He's asking, as an agri exporter, how to get started with the branding building?
Arushi, you want to take this up?
No, you can.
Okay,
You can
great.
go.
So, like I'd already mentioned, you need to first get your name, your logo, your packaging, everything in place. Then there are several brand touch points. The most important being develop a website. People are anything that you hear this day. If you come up with a new product or a new brand, it's an instinct. You immediately go to Google and search what it is, right? So if it's not listed, it's not there in anyone's mind. So make sure the presence on website, on social media channels is there. For agriculture startups, I really think YouTube is a great platform, because YouTube is a platform where people go and ask questions, right? So whenever they have a doubt, they search how to, automatically Google takes them to YouTube videos. That is how the algorithm works. So it's very important to make videos about the products and how it actually helps everybody else on YouTube. So that these are the initial steps you should take to start with your brand building. And once you start, you will see you can join forums, and there are so many people who automatically open up on their experiences on how they've helped everyone build a brand. So you can take that up as well.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. So participants, I think you got answers. So the participants, if still you have any questions, so the speaker details are already shared in the chat box. So you can mail them. And also, before concluding the session, there is exciting updates from Manage SIA. So this year, Agri-Eureka applications are open to the participants. You can register through the Manage website. And also cohort 11 applications are open, so the interested participant, they can utilize this opportunity to get the funding. So that's all about today. So before concluding the session, so do not forget to give the feedback. The link is already shared in the chat box, and do not forget to register for upcoming webinar, and also do not forget to follow us on social media. So before ending the session, I would like to thank both the speaker Arushi ma'am and Komal Gamri ma'am, and also director sir and Manage SIA team. So see you next week with one more topic.
Yeah, thank you, Komal and Arushi.
Thank
It was really a wonderful
you.
presentation.
you.
And director sir is just moving just 2 minutes before he moved to another meeting, but he conveyed thanks a lot on behalf of him and entire managed team. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.